What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the debut studio album by Harry Styles, former member of One Direction, now solo artist. And this is just an astonishing feat, something that a ton of people did not expect whatsoever. I was even caught off guard by it, and I was a fan of Harry in the past. Not a huge One Direction fan by any means, but at the same time, I appreciated what he brought to the table there as a member of that boy band. And some of their later releases, honestly, pretty good. 4 was great, made in the AM while obviously very rushed, still had some gems on it as well, and you could see that Harry was really pushing himself whenever it came to the songwriting. Stockholm Syndrome is a great song that is an example of what was to come, and I wasn't sure what the label execs were really going to do to his sound trying to push him one way, but it really seems like he got creative freedom here, and that has to be liberating as an artist that was just held down by like a thumb telling you where to go, controlling you like a puppet for like 5 or 6 years as a part of One Direction, the whole X Factor thing, Simon Cowell and his label contract with One Direction. They finally took a hiatus, and now Harry Styles is able to come into his own. Did he deliver? Hell yes. This dude came through and knocked it out of the park. Songwriting and the musicianship here presented by his band is top notch. You can tell that it's obviously influenced by a lot of things. Everything from Paul Simon to ZZ Top to the Beatles and Oasis. It's all over the place. And it does have those influences, but it doesn't just get smothered by those. It's not just a blanket that's really held over the record. It's one of those things where you can smile because you know where it came from, but you can also see that Harry's songwriting really came to fruition here. And obviously that backing band is coming through doing a ton of great things, whether it be a slick bass line or a great jagged guitar line or even a piano like on the closing moment that really juxtaposes several different things together. I love that. And Harry Styles' record is easily among my favorites of the year so far. Why did things go so smoothly from transition to boy band to rock star for Harry Styles? Well, I honestly feel like it's because he's been a rock star at heart for a while. He's been wanting to break out. And I'm not going to call him a legend of rock or anything like that. That would be extremely naive. All I'm saying here is that he's paying homage to a lot of rock stars, and his attitude about him, I dig it. It's not just a new thing that he's putting on for this record. He's kind of acted like that for a long time. And while he does have a great sense of like camaraderie about him, whenever it came to One Direction, doing interviews, amusing people and that sort of thing, you can tell that he's kind of got his other side to him as well. And I love how that trickles into this self-titled debut album. You can tell that he's been hurt by a lover, somebody that he's not able to talk to anymore. It could also be some friendships that are on the ropes as well, maybe former bandmates from One Direction, who knows exactly what it's all about. But a lot of these songs are surprisingly hard-hitting, whether it comes to the instrumentals or else the lyrical content. Some of them just really hit me over the head like a brick. I found myself crying on the final track of this record that really comes through from the dining table. It's just majestic. The strings on this thing, the heartbreak, the way that he sings the lines here, it's too much for me to describe the feeling that you get. Even my phone misses your call. It's a somber tone. He even sings in a different register on this one, and it's very, very delicate. It's like he's crumbling at the seams here, and he's saying like, maybe I've tricked myself into thinking that you're going to be the one to call. Why don't you ever give up? Why don't you let me sit in this comfortable silence? And it's very underrated, and he's talking about these things here, and like, I've tricked myself into believing that you're going to come back to me. He sees his lover with somebody else, and he's talked about that on other moments as well, whether it be like fighting with them or starting to drift, and he even makes several references to his own songs throughout the album. In fact, about halfway through, he calls to mind the opening track, Meet Me in the Hallway, which is a fantastic opener. I love that. There's a nice little bass line going on there, and the guitar is very kind of jagged as it works its way in, and Harry's vocals are kind of left in the bottom of the mix, and there's a little bit of an ambience to the tune, maybe a little bit of an atmosphere that builds up, and I like that. It really kicks the album off right and carries it all the way through to the end. Like I said, that final closing moment, just a harpoon to the heart. Okay, so I talked about a couple of the slow songs, but what do we have in terms of the faster offerings here? It's not all slow by any means. It's not just like sappy, like, oh, I miss you or anything like that at all. And even the ones that are about things like that, they're extremely clever and well done. Just kind of mind-numbingly so, because it's just like, I didn't go into this, I expected to like it, but I was like, I don't know how this album is going to stand out. Is it just going to be the lead single that's great? No. Not at all. In fact, there's some great harder rocking moments here that really get into that 70s rock and roll vibe. And the first of those is Carolina. What a jam. This song is just rollicking fun. She's a good girl, he sings on this one. And it seems like it could be an allusion to something else, but we're just gonna assume that it's actually about a girl here. There's kind of some confusing things, but at the same time, I like that. I like that things could be interpreted different ways, different song meanings and that sort of thing. And on Carolina, I love the pianos on this one, the guitars, and just the ambience overall. It's something that just lures you in, and you're going to be singing along in no time to those backing la 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 la's, to just the chorus of the track, and even the verses. It's smooth. It's like a glass of lemonade on a summer day, and it goes down perfectly. And of course I'm going to love this song. It's about Carolina, somebody from Carolina. That's where I'm from. Only Angel is going to throw you for a loop because it starts off slow. It uses that same little keyboard effect that they used on Sign of the Times, you know, the little the thing that I can't imitate whatsoever, but you know what I'm talking about if you've heard at least Sign of the Times. I love that sound effect then whenever it was used there, and we see it again at the intro to Only Angel. But this song, I say, throws you for a loop because about 50 seconds in, Harry shouts, and it just really jolts into it. You think it's going to be a slow song, and it's just like, just kidding. It's going to be something straight out of like the New York or else LA rock scene from the 70s, and I love this vibe. Once again, he's talking about this girl that really gets his veins pumping, something that gets his heart throbbing, and he gets excited on this one, and I love how this one rocks. And right after that, we get another blast of energy with the best damn song on this album, up there with Sign of the Times, Kiwi. This song just explodes, and I love how menacing, really, Harry comes across. I didn't think I would say menacing and Harry Styles in the same sentence, but here we are with Kiwi really blowing the lid off of things. Once again, potential drug use comes into the equation on Kiwi, and here he's talking about this girl, you know, it's New York City, we're always jacked up, and he basically makes the sound effect of, you know, like doing a line of coke or something like that, and it's just like, yeah, you can see that he's transitioning into a different mode. Obviously, it's not the cutesy stuff for the most part. I mean, yes, we have songs like Sweet Creature, which I'm going to get to, which are very, very cutesy. I love moments like that, but at the same time, I like to see that he's growing up, but at the same time, he's not just totally just throwing caution to the wind. He's not dropping like 100 F-bombs and rapping or something like that. He's actually just growing into his own. There's an electric current that just flows through you whenever you listen to Kiwi. I can't describe it. You have to listen to it. You have to get into it. I love the guitars on this one. Even the drumming and the bass here. It's a perfect combination, and I like that there's just no holds barred here. It's just no tricks up the sleeve. It's nothing like that. It's rock and roll, and it is pure, and it is great. I mentioned Sweet Creature being a nice little ditty, a little ode to somebody special, and I love it. It is very smooth. It's very warm, bubbly, and I like the refrain on this track, just the way that his voice sounds on this one, and the acoustic guitar is phenomenal, and I like the use of acoustics on this record. Not only there, but in the song Two Ghosts as well. I'm loving this one. It's about a couple who find themselves at a turning point in their relationship, if you will. Maybe it's about the same person that he's been singing about, and now ex we get to by the end of the record, but here it seems like they're at this point where they've reached a crossroads. They've told each other all of their stories. They don't know what to talk about anymore, and it's hard whenever things are falling apart. Obviously, Sweet Creature comes right after that, but before, I think he's really getting to this point where I don't know how we're going to work things out, but I want to, but we're just a shell of who we used to be. You know, we started this relationship and we were totally different people, but Harry's talking about now I've changed, you've grown up, I've gotten more tattoos, everything is changing around us, but how do we figure out who we are? And it is a wonderful, wonderful tune. The only moment left to talk about is Woman, and even though it's my least favorite, it's still one that I genuinely do like. It's an interesting sound effect that they use here. Harry Styles says it's his own voice manipulated. Everybody thinks it sounds like a duck quacking at the end of each line, like a in the background or something like that. And it did kind of throw me off at first, but the more I listen to the song, it fits with kind of that stapled piano loop that just really goes throughout. It's not the most fast-moving or fast-paced tune by any means, but it still has a hook about it, and I like that. Even though it's not my favorite song, it still kind of gets me hook, line, and sinker. I want to listen to it with the rest of the record because it doesn't feel complete without it. And yeah, it definitely does feel like it's coming from this classic standpoint where he was very inspired by classic rock and that sort of thing, and his influences can be seen clearly, but I don't think it detracts too much. It's just that I don't care for the lyrics as much. He's saying woman so much that it almost gets aggravating to me, but it never pushes me over the edge. I of course already gave a track review to Sign of the Times over on Beyond ARTV, my second channel, but I do want to say this. What a song. What an ace song. What a song to just drop and be like, this is my comeback single. It's over 5 minutes long. It is bombastic. It is big. It's like channeling stuff from the 80s and like ballads and everything. And this song soars. The music video is massive. It's just like nothing that anybody else is doing in the pop industry at all whatsoever. It is so against the mold and against the grain that I give it my highest praise. Not just for that reason, but because it is a phenomenal song. This is top notch, and I see this easily landing in my top 10 songs at the end of the year. Everything from that soaring chorus to the bridge to the end of the track, how it evolves as it goes, sign of the times is perfect. Whether you like the folkier tendencies of the great Ever Since New York and Two Ghost, or if you're into the more hard rocking stuff like Kiwi and Only Angel, or even Carolina, and then you like the ballad stuff, Sign of the Times, or some of the slower stuff like the opening and closing moments, this album has it covered, while at the same time staying in the lane of rock and roll, and even some classic like pop, rock flair to it as well. I love this record. I really don't have many gripes with it whatsoever. It has blown me away. I have to give this thing a 4.5 out of 5. I've been playing it nonstop. I can't stop playing it. It's 10 songs, 40 minutes, and it goes down just like that, and you want to start it all over again. Don't forget to check out Feed Bands, guys. Top link in the description down below, and if you're able to support on Patreon, it's the link right below that as well. If you'd like to find me on social media, all of the links are in the description. If you want to see a couple of recent reviews, you can click right here. Other than that, leave a like on the video, and I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.